Hello guys, and welcome to another video. We're going to be continuing a few things in chapter 5 before we move into chapter 6. Uh, the first thing that I would like to discuss is one more time the difference between RAM and ROM. First of all, ROM, let's start with ROM better. ROM is read-only memory. It's a tiny chip, tiny chip that includes the BIOS, which is the basic input, basic input and output system. What does actually ROM does? It allows the instruction inside the stored in it as a BIOS to perform, help the computer to perform the post, which is the power on self test. So will allow us to see if we have anything that is not going to be responsive in the booting up process of your computer. So the computer will take a note of it before we start downloading the operating system in the main memory, which is RAM in this case, to finish the booting up process. So RAM is actually a firmware. It is a firmware, meaning what? It has both. It is both. It is hardware that contains software. The software is very hard to erase. You can, but we're not going to discuss how difficult it is. Therefore, we assume it is not writable. That's why we call it read-only memory. So we're going to say or assume that it's going to be fixed as it is, and it should be viewed as it is, and we should not tamper or play with it. On the other hand, when we talk about RAM, RAM is the random access memory. It is the main memory, the main memory for our computer. It's really our working area where everything is being done in it. That's why we say the more RAM, the faster is the computer, because it means more room, more area, more land to play my games with it, or bring more player, which are the application that I'm going to be used to play a game or to finish a task that demand multiple type of application or multitasking. RAM is very fast, just like any chips, but it's not as fast as the CPU. So we must really download all the instruction that comes from a software, as also we will have part of the main or the boss in this case, which is the operating system that must be loaded in RAM, not completely, but only the needed uh, parts of it that makes the computer functional. In addition to the application software, let's assume we are writing a letter. So we grabbed also Microsoft Word. Again, not in its entirety, it's meaning it's not it completely, but what we need actually to use at that moment. And also the data and the letter that we're writing, all of them must reside in RAM in case we wanted to use some calculation while we're thinking about what we're writing about. We could ask also the operating system, whether it's Windows or Mac OS or Linux, to bring Excel, and we could actually do the calculation from there and share it between the two applications. So RAM is our working area. The nature of RAM is volatile, meaning what? Nothing would stay in RAM, and don't be confused sometimes when you have a problem with your computer and turn it off and turn it on to recognize that Microsoft Word was able to recover your document. This is recovery comes from Microsoft Office. It's a mechanism that will allow us to retrieve so we don't lose all our work. But RAM itself, when the computer is turned off, is completely erased. It's really emptied. It's flushed completely. So we need to make sure that it is volatile. That means it's erasable. If you don't save your work periodically from RAM into a hard or secondary storage like hard disk or flash memory or even CD or DVD, we're going to lose it. We're going to really lose it permanently. So this is a big warning about RAM, which is volatile. Volatile in this case doesn't mean bad. It means that it's erasable and we have to be responsible to back up, not only save our work, but back it as well. But the nature of RAM is to be volatile because if we kept adding to it and we're trying to flush it manually, it will take us forever really to do the cleaning process. But if we turn off or close an application, and it should be deleted from RAM, so we'll have that space available for other type of application in case I really need to run multiple applications. In RAM, the more of it, as I said earlier, the better. So recommended amount at this time, year 2020, for a laptop is 8 gigabyte of RAM. I recommend highly 16 for a desktop, and that would be really a decent amount. But of course, if you have lots of money and you can afford it, go for as much RAM as possibly allowed in your motherboard, which is the computer that you will, the main circuit for the computer that you will buy. So those are extremely important to distinguish between RAM and ROM. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and we will continue with other videos in the near future.